Venga, va, ¿estamos o no? Vale, venga, todos listos, que empezamos. Cuento. 3, 2, 1. ¡Acción!
Welcome to CrossOver. We know flights are expensive and buses are slow, so what if there was a cheaper and faster way to travel? This is the podcast for young audience who want to explore more and spend less. Today we are going to talk about two big topics: ride sharing and magnetic high speed trains. And for this we've got three special guests.
So we have just arrived in Boston since a couple of weeks. We're Spanish. We're studying here, and we've really noticed big differences in terms of cost and availability of for transportation. Right?
Yes, we're four Spanish guys who came here to Boston to study for 2 years. During our time in Boston, we want to also explore other parts of the U.S. But the U.S. is massive, and the only way to get from one place to another is by plane.
Yeah, that's right. Uh, but back home in Spain, we can actually travel around with a much lower budget. We can take buses, trains, and it's really convenient for students like us.
In fact, we were planning to go to New York and we couldn't afford it.
Yeah, we were planning to go this weekend, but the bus was really slow, really expensive. Planes tickets were also really expensive too.
Yeah, and even compared to Spain, the differences are massive.
So one example is from Madrid to Barcelona. It takes 2.5 hours, and it's double the distance from Boston to New York, and it's half the price and half the time.
El viaje en tren de Boston a Nueva York suele durar unas 4 horas. En cuanto al precio, los boletos más económicos rondan los $25, aunque el costo puede variar dependiendo de la hora y la antelación con la que compres el billete. Si necesitas más detalles específicos, me dices.
Muchas gracias.
As students, we've seen that there's some technology that's not yet been implemented in the US, but we have it back at home. However, Spain is not even the most advanced in technology.
No, absolutely. So, for example, in Japan, they have developed this new innovation called magnetic levitation trains. These are trains that don't have any wheels. They kind of levitate above the tracks using magnetic fields. They levitate around 3 inches above the tracks, and because they don't have any wheels, the only resistance they face is air resistance. For this reason, they can go up to a speed of 375 miles per hour, which are record speed for transportation, and are actually referred as the future of ground transportation.
And for example, how much time would you take from Philadelphia to Boston?
So it normally would take around 5 hours from what we've seen, and it would be reduced to less than an hour.
Yeah, unlike traditional railways, these new trains accelerate and decelerate not by the contact between the wheels and the rails, but through the magnetic forces generated by the onboard superconductor magnets and the ground coils.
And these trains wouldn't be just cool for the experience. They will also be great for our budgets and our wallets. Is if these trains competed directly with airlines, prices will have to drop. Therefore, we'd have an incredibly fast way to travel at a really competitive price. So basically, that would mean more speed and more savings.
Talking about competitive prices, we have noticed that fuel is much cheaper here than in Spain, so driving could be an interesting cheap option.
Absolutely. On average, gas in the US is often about 30 to 50% cheaper than in Spain. The difference can vary depending on global oil prices, exchange rates, and regional taxes, but that's a typical range.
Yes, but the problem is not everyone has a driving license or has access to a car.
But we have car sharing in Spain, though.
Yeah, I think that could be an option. Are you talking about BlaBlaCar?
Exactly, yeah, but explain to the audience what BlaBlaCar is.
Oh yeah, you're right. So for those of you who don't know what BlaBlaCar is, BlaBlaCar is an app we use in Europe, where if you're traveling by car and you have empty seats left, you can offer them, and people can book them, and therefore you can split the gas cost of the travel, and it's a much more sociable way of traveling. It's much more comfortable than a bus, and it's cheaper than a flight.
Well, yes. In this app, you can actually personalize your own profile. You can add stuff like your music taste. You can add if you're traveling with a pet, and also any topics you like maybe you like to discuss about sports, or maybe you prefer to talk about politics.
Have you guys even ever used BlaBlaCar? I personally haven't because my mom thinks it's quite dangerous.
Why? I use it every summer because I think it's the cheapest way to move around. So when users create an account, they must verify their email, their phone number, and their driver license. Moreover, after the trip, both the drivers and the passengers can rate and review. And finally, the payment is through the application and not in cash. So I think extremely secure.
Yeah, that's right. And talking about payment, just a month ago, the Spanish government gave BlaBlaCar financial support in relation to an energy saving program. And under this, BlaBlaCar's drivers get back up to 10% of the trip's price.
Guys, we've talked about really interesting innovations, but we are running out of time. So why don't we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it really works kind of this way. Starting with Japan's trains, they were really able to identify an issue coming maybe from past innovations and kind of learning from this S-curve. Because Japan is a really large country, they managed to improve Japanese lives by lowering costs, kind of putting a more competitive pricing into a market. Moving on to BlaBlaCar, we come from Spain. We know what it means to travel by BlaBlaCar. We know the advantages it gives us as an innovation, and we really don't understand why it's not implemented here in the U.S. As students who are looking for traveling in a safe and in a budget, I think it could potentially be a really good option for us.
Absolutely. This has been chapter 1. We hope you like it, and we hope seeing you in chapter 2.
Ciao.
Ciao, 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 ciao.